All right, let's begin with miscellaneous word roots. So these are word roots that might apply to other areas or might not. They're just kind of up in the air. They're all over the place. Sometimes they just don't really apply anywhere, but you still need to know them. It's still good to familiarize yourself with them. So let's go over some of these word roots. Okay, so first term is ori. Okay, like oracle. Now, and this doesn't mean like somebody that can see into the future. Not the Oracle of Delphi. That's not what we're talking about here. Ori, that refers to a sensory organ. Okay, what do you think? Ori refers to the ear. Okay, like the oracle of the ear. Ori just refers to the ear. So you see the term oracle, it's going to refer to the ear. Okay, moving on. Bio, like biology or biometrics. So when you were in high school, of course, we studied biology. What is biology? The study of. Let's think about medication. Antibiotics, right? Antibiotics are medications that work against. Anti means against. Against what? It combats bacterial growth, and bacteria are alive, right? Antibiotics work against life. Biology is the study of life. Okay, so just remember, bio is not by. It doesn't mean to. Bio, the word root, means life. The prefix bi means to, like biceps. Okay, bicuspid is another example. We'll get to that with our prefixes. Okay, moving on. Chiro, like chiropractic or chiropractors. What do chiropractors use to manipulate the body? Chiropractors use the hand, right? Chiro means hand. So it's a practitioner that uses their hand to manipulate the body. Chiropractic work. Okay. Corico. No, I just want you to remember, I didn't name this stuff. I was not alive in the 14th, 15th century in Italy when all of this stuff was being named. So don't blame me for why this stuff is named the way it is. Corico. Specifically, you're going to see that with the coricoid process. Now, oid means resembling. So this is named after what it resembles in some way. Okay. So corico means crow-like. So coricoid means resembling a crow's beak. And it is supposed to look like a crow's beak. I guess it kind of does a little. I think it more resembles a toucan. If you ask me, like Toucan Sam right there on your scapula. But no, it's supposed to be a crow. So corico means crow-like. Coricoid means resembling a crow's beak. And that's what the coricoid process is named after, what it looks like. So again, I didn't name it. Sorry. Anyway, so now you know. Corico, crow-like. Okay. What about corono? Like the coronoid process. And we have a couple of those in the body. Coronoid process. Coronavirus is another example. Coronary artery. Okay. So the coronoid process, right there. Coronoid process of the mandible is named after what it resembles. The coronoid process of the ulna is named after what it resembles. So it goes up and then down, kind of a sharp point at the top. Right? Coronary arteries. Let me set that down. Coronary arteries, right? They go around the heart, supply the heart muscle with blood. Go around the heart like a crown. Okay. So the coronoid process of the mandible and of the ulna resemble the point on a crown, and that's where it gets its name. Okay. So corono means crown. Coronavirus also can apply to this because it, under a microscope, it looks like the little things coming off of it look like coronal mass ejections, like you would see coming off the sun, when the sun discharges all of that energy, that's where the term coronavirus gets its name. Looks like the sun with the coronal mass ejections. Anyway, now you know. So corono means crown. Okay. So again, resembles the point on a crown. Okay, moving on. Dorso. Dorsal surface, right? So this is the dorsal surface of the hand. I would show the dorsal surface of the foot, but again, my kids love playing with my things. So footless. What do you think? Dorsal. So dorsal surface, top of the foot. It's the dorsal surface of the foot. If this is my foot, dorsal surface of the foot. Dorsal means back, okay, as opposed to ventral, which means front or belly. Okay, so dorsal. If you see the term dorsal, it refers to the back of something. Okay, so dorsal, back. Okay. What about ecto? Now, this ectopic pregnancy is a good example. Ectoparasites are a good example. A mosquito is an ectoparasite. So what's different between a mosquito and a tapeworm? A tapeworm lives inside the body, right? So a mosquito or a leech, another example, lice. These are all examples of ectoparasites, which live on the surface outside the body, right? So ecto means outside. In ectopic pregnancy, the fertilized egg is outside where it should be. It's not in the right location, right? So ecto, outside. Ecto cooler, delicious drink. I miss ecto coolers. Wish they'd bring them back. Bring back the ecto cooler. Let's get it back. Glauco, like glaucoma. What does somebody's eye look like if they have glaucoma? Specifically the pupil, inside the pupil. Inside the pupil, somebody with glaucoma, it looks gray. Okay, and that's what glauco means. It means gray. That's essentially gray tumor, glaucoma. Just the inside of the eye looks gray, really cloudy. Not a fun thing to have, I'm sure. Not that I would know, glaucoma. Okay. And hydro. Now, I talked about another hydro in the integumentary system, I believe, HIDRO. Here's the other hydro, the one you're probably a lot more familiar with, like hydration or hydronephrosis, hydrotherapy. These are all things that involve water, right? So hydro means water. Fire hydrant is something that uses water, right? To hydrate is to introduce water into your body, right? Hydronephrosis, you have too much water in the kidneys. Water, hydrotherapy, using water in a treatment. Lots of different types of hydrotherapy, of course. Okay, ophthalmo. Some words my tongue just doesn't want to do. It just doesn't work that way. I used to have a student who was Chinese. She was from China, so she spoke fluent Mandarin. And I asked her to teach me a little, and she tried teaching me how to say a couple things, and just my mouth does not move that way. So I gave up trying to learn Chinese. Just one of those weird examples, I suppose. Anyway, ophthalmology. Ophthalmology is the study of what? You go see an ophthalmologist. You go in to see a specialist who looks at, another sensory organ, the eyes. Okay, so ophthalmology is the study of the eye. Okay, moving on. Pyro. And a lot of you might immediately say fire. Well, maybe. What does fire produce? Pyrogenic is an example. Antipyretic is a medication. Why would we take medication that works against fire? We wouldn't, right? Pyro means, what does fire produce? Fire produces heat, right? So pyro means heat. And antipyretic is a muscle or a medication. A muscle. And antipyretic is a muscle. Antipyretic is a medication that works against a fever. It lowers our body temperature. So something like Tylenol is an antipyretic. If your body temperature is too high, it will lower our body temperature back to a normal range. So we're operating within homeostasis again. Now, sometimes fevers are okay. Sometimes fevers are a good thing because, our overall organism can't survive in those temperatures for too long, but neither can things like viruses. So if you have a virus like influenza, you might develop a fever. That's the body's way of defending itself. One of its defense mechanisms is to increase its body temperature. So the virus doesn't survive, right? The virus can't live in those temperatures. The virus kind of hangs out in our body temperature range. So if the body temperature is too high, then it kills the viruses. But when it's too high for too long, that's when it becomes an issue. That's when we have to use antipyretics to drop our body temperature. Okay. So pyrogenic, something that's pyrogenic in the body, skeletal muscles, right? When they twitch, they produce heat. Pyrogenic. Okay. So pyro, heat, not fire, heat. Okay. Thermo. This one's going to sound a little bit familiar, right? Thermometer is an example. Thermoreceptor is another example. So a thermoreceptor is a sensory receptor in the skin that detects. A thermometer is a medical device used to detect, used to read. Again, it is heat. Okay, so thermometer detects how warm something is. Thermoreceptors in the skin detect how warm something is. If something is too hot, it'll let us know. If something is not hot enough, it'll let us know. But it detects heat. Okay, so thermo, pyro both mean heat. Okay, and viscero, talk about the serous membranes. Okay, we have a couple different walls of the serous membrane. Serous membrane surrounds organs like the heart. And like the pericardium of the heart is a serous membrane. So we have a layer that comes into contact with the heart, then we have serous fluid, then another layer that comes into contact with everything else. Okay, so the layer that comes into contact with the heart is the visceral serous membrane. Visceral means internal, more inside the body. Okay, so the visceral serous membrane is going to be deeper. It's going to be more inside the body than the parietal serous membrane, which is more outside. Okay, so that's our example of viscera. Visceral. So viscera, if we're talking about viscera, we're talking about things inside the body, internal structures in the body. Okay, so those are our miscellaneous word roots.